Welcome to the Mental Wellness Wake Up Show, the place to be for tips and tools from both spirituality and psychology that create lasting well being. I am your host, mental wellness expert and theater creator, Dawn McMillan. Let's get to it. Oh, you beautiful humans. I am so glad you are here. As I am recording this, the sun is shining, the birds are singing, life is lifing, and I am awash in gratitude for all of the good that I have, not only in my life, but all of the good I am able to see in the world, and all of the light that continues to shine in the darkness. Because, my beautiful friends, there is always light. And it is always worth it to find it. What I want to talk about to you today is death. One of my very wise children said, "Death by 1,000 cuts is still death, and it's awfully painful." Whew, genius, I know. Death by 1,000 cuts is still death, and it's awfully painful. One of the themes that I notice in some of the people that I work with, both as a psychotherapist, as a counselor, as a coach, and just out in the world doing life, it's that first world problems phrase. Oh, it's just first world problems. And the corollary to that is this weird competition we all seem to be in to be the most traumatized, most diagnosed person that we know. It's like, oh yeah, I'll see your ADHD and I will raise you left ambiosimonitiness. And I get it. We are really in this sense of wanting to understand and explore our own mental health and our mental well-being, to have a greater sense of self-understanding and a pathway forward of how to be in the world. And we also want to have respect for our privileges. We want to have respect for our privileges and acknowledge that not all suffering is the same. So I get it. I get both the tendency to raise our hands and be like, wait, no, I've suffered too. My suffering counts. Because a lot of the conversations around privilege can make it seem as though, oh, if you have privilege, you don't have suffering. That's not the point at all. No one really means that. When the conversation about privilege comes up, it's really about there are certain types of suffering you don't have to bear. So I absolutely understand how that can feel like, but wait, I'm not over here floating on a cloud with no issues. I've been through some stuff. And wanting to assert powerfully and strongly that we have struggled and we have suffered. And then also not wanting to make it seem like, getting third position in your high school class so that you didn't get to speak on the podium is not the same as growing up in a country that was under occupation by another country, right? So it's this beautiful, beautiful sense of compassion that we want to have for ourselves. Yes, I have suffered. And this compassion we want to have for other people. And no, I don't want to diminish your suffering by comparing mine to yours. And so we acknowledge, ooh, my life is hard. And then we take it back with, oh, but that's just, it's first world problems. Okay, death by 1,000 cuts is still death, and it still hurts. The most obvious analogy that comes to mind for me, and in case you don't know, which maybe you don't, are you new around here? Welcome. Have you come back? Thank you. I'm an African-American woman living in North America in the 21st century, right? I know a heck of a whole lot about microaggressions. In the space that I occupy, I got a lot of racial microaggressions, gender microaggressions and age-based microaggressions. People think I am younger than I am and will often condescend to me based on that. Oh, you wouldn't understand. Like, first of all, that's condescending, even if I were the age that you think I am. And second of all, I'm actually older than you, so can you chill out? But I digress. Microaggressions are 1,000 cuts. It's not the same thing as some big, singular, massive catastrophe. A meteor strikes your village and there's no light for 1,000 years. Those meteor strike kind of, I'm so tired of the word trauma. Those meteor strike kind of incidents are easy to identify. And it's easy for us to think that other people who have had those have had it worse. And then we look at our own, oh, well, it's just this, it's just that. But death by 1,000 cuts is still death. And it's very painful. So I have two invitations in regards to this. One is to not denigrate or minimize or apologize for your struggles or your suffering because you are aware that you have some sort of privilege. I have a person that I know that jokingly says that he's been jumped into feminist club. Jumped in is a metaphor for how gangs initiate people, which is usually like everybody in the gang beats you up. So he jokes that he's been jumped into feminist club. So he is very well aware of his place in the world as a white male, and so tends to tread carefully in the way that he communicates with other people. That's beautiful. Yes, please acknowledge that there are people who are having different experiences than you are, and your suffering is real, and it matters, and you don't have to compare it to anyone else's suffering for it to matter. Also, both and, the paradox of both and, you spend any time with me, there is no need to define yourself by your suffering. Your suffering matters, it's real, and no, you do not have to define yourself by your suffering. In fact, I invite you not to. I invite you not to. Put the Neosporin on the cuts. Put the Band-Aid on the cuts. And then let them heal. And don't judge your cuts because you've got a paper cut and you know someone else over there has a broken arm. Put the Neosporin on. This podcast is not sponsored by Neosporin. You can use Bactine or any other product that you enjoy. It's also not sponsored by Band-Aids. So you've got a cut. Do what you need to take care of it to make it better. And then go help put a splint on the arm of the person whose arm got broken. And neither one of you needs to walk around for the rest of your lives being like, oh, I know it's only a broken arm. Or alternatively, I broke my arm. I broke my arm. Yeah, I get it. But I broke my arm that one time, so I can never have a good life because I broke my arm that one time. Your suffering is real, and it matters, and it deserves your care and your compassion. You need not ever compare it to anyone else's, and you need not ever define yourself or anyone else by their traumas, by their suffering. You don't even need to define yourself as a survivor or an overcomer. In the world according to Dawn, and this is a fairly well-informed world according to, defining yourself as a survivor or an overcomer is step one. It's so much more effective than defining yourself as a victim, and yet you're still allowing the worst thing that happened to you be the most important thing about you. Here's a thought experiment I would love for you to play with. What are the 3 most important things about you? What are the 3 most important things about you? If you were meeting someone for the first time and you got to tell them 3 things about you, What would you most want them to know? And if your answer is, it depends, I'm taking that away from you in order to box us into what are the 3 most important things that you want someone to know about you. And now the gold star and magic sprinkles. Throw that all away. Every identity is a cage. I am the kind of person who is always a cage. What we are wanting to do is expand, transcend, and include all other identities so it gets larger and larger and larger and larger and larger. I am, let's see, let me use something that's not going to be too triggering. I am a victim of big meteor. Big meteor attacked my village, and now there's a big hole where I used to live. 2, I'm a survivor. Big meteor came for me, and I overcame that. 2, I am. I am. And who I am today may be wildly different than who I was yesterday, and I'm excited about who I'm going to be tomorrow. Yeah, sorry, I just got distracted by just thinking about how delicious that is. Your suffering is real. It matters. You need never apologize for the size of it or the scope of it. You need never compare it to anyone else's. You need never define yourself for anyone else by it. And one of the reasons I really want to invite you to consider transcending, including, and expanding this who am I question is because who I think you to be is a being who is whole, perfect, complete, worthy and deserving of ever increasing magic and miracles, and capable of expanding and growing for the rest of your life. And with that, I want to thank you for your time and your attention, because that is one of your most precious resources, and you chose to be here with me. Thank you. I honor you, and I honor that gift. If you would do me the courtesy of liking, subscribing, and sharing this podcast, I would consider that a beautiful gift as well. And if you would like to work with me, oh, what a gift that would be, check out thedawnmcmillan.com and see how that might be possible for you. All right. Until next time, you gorgeous being.